Hi, Kelly here from freebiefindingmom.com, and thank you for joining me for another Friday session of Money Talk, where we get together on Fridays, usually between 1:30 and 2 p.m. Eastern. I'm a little bit late today, I think. Yeah, I'm a little bit late today, but I had a bunch of errands this morning, and my son's got something going on with his ear, so some extra stuff going on. But anyways, I am here. So if you will, please give this video a like and a heart. I would appreciate it. A like or a heart, and then share it to your Facebook page if you find it helpful for you. So let's go ahead and get started in answering one of the first questions, and that is from Tori. And Tori asked, does anyone have any tips to save money on hotels? I'm booking our summer vacation to Clearwater Beach, Florida, and I want to save as much as possible. Thanks. Good question, Tori, and I'll share with you my thoughts here at the end. It's been many years actually since I've been to Clearwater, but I'll share with you my tips on saving money on hotels for vacation. But first, Melissa said, try Costco Travel if you have a membership. I also have heard good things about Costco Travel as well. Bonnie said, choose your favorite travel planning site like Ebates, Expedia, Travelocity, and then watch for any special pricing or promotions. And then she goes on to say, you might want to think about a VRBO, and she said also check out a site called redweek.com. I don't know that site, so I'm actually going to look at it myself too, Bonnie. And then she also mentioned that see if there's anybody in your family that perhaps has a timeshare. So those are all really good suggestions. And then Amanda said Ebates. That's a great, I often forget about that, Amanda, but thanks for reminding me about Ebates. Now, Ebates is that cashback site. They definitely have deals also on travel too, so don't neglect to remember that. And then but Amanda gave a good tip, which is she said she's seen items sometimes be one price and then they're higher through the Ebates link, which, you know, doesn't necessarily surprise me because the company has to pay for Ebates to get that kickback anyways. So it doesn't surprise me that they would increase the price, but that's not always the case. But just be sure that you are doing your homework and comparing your prices to make sure that the Ebates price is not higher, and it will cost you more, and even with the cash back offer. Okay, so with that said, those are your insights. Now I'm going to share with you kind of my tips on how to save money on hotels and just vacations in general. Number one, whenever I am looking to book our vacations, I always look at multiple sources for hotels, condos, whatever it is. So especially hotels, if that's what you want to stay with, I always start with usually like an Expedia or a Travelocity, something like that, and just kind of get an idea, a ballpark idea of how much the hotels are. I will also go to other sites like Kayak and things like that, where they will list the different, airfare prices or, hotels and that sort of thing, again, so I can price compare. And then, so I will probably get on average, I would say 5 to 6, maybe even more different rates for a couple of hotels that I'm looking at in the area to see where I can get the best deal. Also, make sure that I go directly to the hotel's website themselves. See if they're running any special promotions. Sometimes, and oftentimes, I have found them to be cheaper if I go direct to the hotel's website. Not always, but sometimes that is the case. And be sure to look, like I say, at their promotions or sales tab for extra discounts. And then take into consideration things like AAA if you're a member, any other sort of membership, like if you were part of the military, that sort of thing. So look at all your different options and compare them. But I think it's good advice to at least look at, I would say at least 4 to 5 different rates and make sure that you're getting the best deal. Second thing, be flexible on your dates. I love when booking a vacation to go to like the hotel's website that'll say, the rate is $100 for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, it's $120, and then Saturday, Sunday is $140 or whatever it is. I love when they break it down like that, so then you can see, okay, well, it might make more sense for us to come in on a Tuesday and leave on a Tuesday or something like that. That has actually been how we have saved sometimes when we have booked is when you travel midweek like that. I know a lot of times it's more convenient and probably more preferable to travel like Saturday to Saturday or Sunday to Sunday. But you know what? You can save quite a bit of money, especially if you incorporate airfare into that too. If you're being willing to travel Tuesday to Tuesday, that sort of thing. So be flexible on your dates and look and see if you can get a breakdown from the hotel what the price is per day, and then decide that way too what days you're going to stay. Next is be looking for, my other advice is look for alternative places. Tori, you mentioned hotels, but I would imagine, and like I say, it's been many years since I've been to Clearwater, but I would imagine there's a lot of condos there that you could rent. I would think as inexpensively, if not more so than the hotels. So be open maybe to going and renting a condo as well. So there's loads of different websites to look for condos. Plus, you'll probably save a lot of money on food if you go the condo route. That's why we love condos. The fourth thing is be okay with staying further away from the beach, maybe, Tori. Like I know, like, I've priced hotels for different vacations we've done. I've priced hotels, when they're on the beach, and they're exorbitantly more than if we stay a few blocks away. And for me personally, I mean, you could even rent a car oftentimes and still save a lot of money versus, staying right there on the beach. So I will say, maybe be willing to not have to stay right at the beach. I know it can be a schlep to, lug all the kids' stuff and, beach towels and toys and everything. But, maybe factor in that you'll need to maybe rent bikes, and then you can always, get those off, oftentimes like those wagons or, those attachments, those trailers that you can put on the back of bikes to bring all your belongings and to haul the kids and that sort of thing. So there's ways around that. So you can think about that. Maybe not having to stay right on the beach, but maybe a block or two away could save you a lot of money. And then the last, I wanted to recommend, I do love the suggestion about Ebates and the cashback websites like that, where you can, really rack up some savings that way, but just be really careful that you're looking at the exact hotel, the same hotels, and that you're looking at the same dates, and that the pricing does not go up. And then lastly, one thing that I always try to factor in when I'm looking at things like hotels or areas like that where parking is at a premium, like near a beach, factor in the parking rates, because you might say, oh, this hotel is super cheap, but maybe they don't have parking, or it's super cheap, but then their parking is outrageously expensive. So factor in everything. If you have airfare, obviously take that into consideration, but if you're booking at a hotel, factor in how much it is to park a car there every day. And then maybe also on the inverse, if you're thinking of staying at the beach, but then you won't need a car maybe, then think about, okay, that would save you money, you wouldn't have to rent a car. But if you're driving especially, then you're gonna wanna make sure you factor in that parking rate as well into how much you would be willing to pay for the hotel. Anyways, thanks, Tori, for your question. That was a really good question, very timely. And then our next question comes from Jill. And Jill says her son needs braces. It'll cost about $4,000, but she can make monthly installments. She needs a way to make this extra money each month. She's already working full time, and she asked if there's anybody had any suggestions for side jobs that you could do from home temporarily. I'll share, Jill, my thoughts here in a second, but you guys had some really good ideas. Tatiana, I've never heard this before, but I loved your idea on how you were able to get braces. Tatiana said, it may sound weird, but my parents bought mine through one of those Catholic school auctions. She said they had a set of braces donated. She said it was a leaflet was on a table. They bid on it and to give the money to the school. It was a nice orthodontist, she said, in, I guess, her area, and she said that she had them for 3 years and it was only $1,500. So I love that. It's just very, like she said, it's very out of the box, but it'd be great if Jill, something like that could happen for you. But just the whole key here is to just kind of think creatively, okay, on how you can either afford them or how you can maybe work out some kind of a deal or some kind of an arrangement. But thanks for sharing that, Tati. I've never heard of that, but that's so cool that your parents could do that for you. Mackenzie said your son can maybe mow some lawns this with summer coming up, or do some other yard work for the neighbors to help with costs. So I like that idea too. Beth said sell your old stuff like your outgrown clothes, toys, shoes, etc. And then she goes on to say with things you could also put furniture on Craigslist or have a yard sale. Love that idea, especially with the weather turning nicer. Anna said she does a rover dog sitting on lunch breaks, weekends, and holidays, and she makes about $7,000 a year doing that. So dog sitting could be an option potentially too. And then Virginia said use Checkout 51 or other ways to cut down on your grocery bills. She said, do you use Snack Bucks or Ebates? All really good suggestions. So Checkout 51, Ibotta is also a great one. Swag Bucks or Ebates. And then Veronica said, basically look at your grocery receipts. Is there anything you can cut out, like drinks, snacks, cosmetics, going out to eat, if you're buying coffee or drinks at shops, that sort of thing. And then extra income, she said, towards any extra income could just then go towards paying off the balance. She recommends maybe making extra money by babysitting, pet sitting, selling things, especially people going on vacation. Maybe they need someone to watch over the house, take care of the pet, pick up their mail, that kind of stuff. You can maybe somehow advertise your services that way, or your son's services that way in the neighborhood would be great. Selling things like at a yard sale, yep. And then she said as a child she had braces and she's grateful that her parents made the investment. Me too, Veronica. I had braces, a retainer, the whole business, and I'm grateful that they made that investment in my mouth too. So my thoughts on this for you, Jill, is first off, you guys had some really good suggestions, so thank you for sharing those. First and foremost, number one, take a real deep dive into your budget. Look and see what can you cut out. Like Veronica said, when it comes to grocery shopping, can you cut out things like cosmetics or maybe eating out or that sort, or snacks or beverages, that sort of thing, where there's a big margin, a lot of times a big markup on those items. So take a deep dive and get real about, is there anything that you can kind of cut out? And remember, as much as it may kind of hurt to cut it out now, remember, you're not cutting out forever. This is a temporary situation where you're trying to afford braces for your son. So once those braces are on and you have them paid off, you don't have to, hopefully make that investment again. So just know that it's not forever. You might have to do this for just a season of your life right now. So maybe 12 months, whatever it is, that you have to just, cut back on something or eliminate some expenses, but you'll hopefully be able to incorporate them again once the braces are paid off. So really take a deep dive into your budget is my first thing. Second thing, I love the suggestion of using coupon apps. That's a great way. Also, in addition to coupon apps, meal planning. Meal planning can be a big savings for you and your family. Basically, if shop sales, shop what's in season when it comes to produce, and maybe cut back on some of the meat that you're consuming. And then in addition to that, of course, incorporating your coupons. But when you plan ahead and do a little extra homework, as far as like laying out what the meals you're gonna make for the week are, you can save a lot of money. So definitely consider meal planning too. Third thing I would say, I love the idea of selling stuff, especially obviously it always feels good to declutter, but especially this time of year, like I said before, with the weather turning nicer, you can have a garage sale. But now there's also so many online sources of ways that you can sell your belongings, be it like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. And so there's so many ways that you can actually just sell your stuff. So another way to just raise some funds. And then lastly, do you have a service or, some kind of a skill that you or your son could basically market that and that somebody would want to pay for? So think outside the box. Like Tatiana gave us that great example of, how her parents afforded her braces. When it comes to maybe a service, maybe it's not babysitting, maybe it's not dog sitting or something like that. But, maybe I know a girl, for instance, that she doesn't have children yet. It's just her and her husband. And she likes to cook a lot, but the problem is they don't need these big meals. So what she does I believe it's on Sundays she does this, she'll make several large meals. Sometimes she doubles the batches, and then she'll portion out what her and her husband are gonna need for dinner. And then the rest of it, she actually sells, I think mostly to people that she works with that are either single or just lives, or just two people in the house. And she basically portions out the other meals and she sells them to them. So all they have to do is basically heat it up, for that week dinner. She'll make a menu, I think, for the week on Sunday, and then she tells them, this is the 5 or 6 things I'm making. If you want some, let me know. She always makes enough to cover her costs and her husband's meals, plus she makes extra. So maybe you like cooking, so you can maybe do something like that that would be a real convenience for people and they'd be willing to pay for. That's a very out of the box idea that I loved when she told me about that. And then I'm trying to think of something else. My friend who actually recently she's been doing cakes. So she makes cakes for friends, birthday parties, all that kind of stuff. And she's really, really good at it. And she recently had the idea of doing like cakes for birthday parties, like where they decorate their own cakes. So maybe like 6 to 10 girls or boys for that matter. Well, she'll bring the cakes and all the supplies, and then basically that's their activity for the party, and then they go home with that cake. And then that's a service that she's now providing and selling as part of her cake business. So there are things like that. Think about what your passion is, Jill, what you're really good at, and what you think then people would pay for. That would be a convenience or a help for them. So I hope you're able to come up with enough money. I think you will. Just be creative and be willing to kind of make some difficult decisions and be budgetary wise now, but it will so pay off in the long run for you and your son. So thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time to watch this video. As always, if you have any finance or money related questions that you want answered here on the Freebie Finding Mom Facebook page, you can either leave them down in the comments, send me a direct message, or you can always send me an email. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Bye-bye.